So if you've decided to become a streamer in 2021, but you have no clue how to get started or what expectations you should be looking for while doing so, well, no worries, I've got you covered. Hi, my name is Persecon, and I'm here to give you some pointers based on the 2 years of experience that I've accumulated while streaming on Twitch. Number one, the fundamentals. You can't start a stream without the basics, your streaming setup. The question that you want to ask yourself is, do you have a setup? And if not, do you have the budget to accommodate yourself with the setup? Being a streamer is all about being able to actually stream. Believe it or not, you need to have a setup so you can stream. Yes, you can have a crappy setup. Yes, you can have a low budget setup. Yes, you can get started with a console or a low-end PC. It doesn't matter how you start. The question is, what do you have and what can you use? And if not, and if you can afford it, what kind of budget do you have to do so? You can't go in blindly and just stream from what you have. It could be like a console or a low-end PC, and expect the quality of the stream to be okay or even passable. You have to be able to have a decent quality in your stream. A lot of the times I will go into a normal stream, someone with 0 viewers or maybe even a few viewers, but their streaming setup is not the adequate one, in the sense that they can't stream good image. Their image actually doesn't pop or doesn't actually have the resolution. Most people watch at 720p as of right now. If you have viewers that are on PC, more than likely they're going to be watching at 1080p or 1040p. Just depends on the type of viewer. You need to have at least a decent setup so that you can be able to get started. Now, you can do it on a low end, but it will take time, and it will be a long wait until you can actually get somewhere. If you have decided to become a streamer, you need to figure out what kind of setup you're gonna have, and if you can at least make some decent budget decisions to get one camera, one recording device. Whether you have a PC or a console, you could get an Elgato, or if you have a PC, just use your main PC if that's possible. If you can do it through the PC, I always recommend, if it's through PC, use OBS. I can explain that later, but right now you need to at least write those things down so you can know. Unless you're streaming exclusive titles like PS5 titles, PS4 titles, then you're kind of limited, and your quality of the stream is not gonna be as good as if you're actually using a software like I am right now, where you can capture the actual footage and then send a better bit rate into Twitch. If you're doing for YouTube as well, is about the same. Number two, your scheduling. A lot of the times people ask me, why is nobody actually watching my stream? Why is nobody coming to check my stream? Why do I have some following now, but nobody still watches my stream or even cares to ask what's going on? And a lot of the times I will say is because you don't have a description or at least some sort of notification for your follower that eagerly waits to actually watch sometimes. If you're not being watched by a returning follower, it's mainly because you don't have a set schedule. You have to set a schedule. Even if it's not the actual time that you schedule for, as long as you can sort of communicate with them by notifying or giving them a time frame where you can be live, then you're not gonna get any returning followers to you. Another thing to consider is you don't want to burn yourself out. A lot of the time, you're gonna want to make sure you have also time for yourself because your health is important. So always keep in mind that, okay? Keep in mind your health is important. And if you're not happy, nobody's going to be happy watching you, man. Number three, what kind of streamer are you? Now that we have in mind your schedule and your setup, what kind of content are you going to be giving out? Whether it's gaming, whether it's cooking, whether it's a podcast, just chatting, whether it's virtual reality content, what is your niche? What is it that you're going to be going to stick to? One thing that I definitely have seen and definitely have tried is to stick to one niche. Or if you're a variety streamer, to do always the less played games or less featured games on Twitch. You can just go on the browser on Twitch and just look it up. You can see which of the games aren't being played as much, but they still have a following because that's a niche. That right there is the one source you will get for a higher possibility of you getting followers. You have to consider and keep in mind that doing anything trendy, yeah, might work sometimes, but it's not going to be very reliable when it comes to you getting started and actually trying to become a serious streamer. If you're just streaming for the fun of it, then that's fine too. That's okay. But if you actually want to make a career of it, I highly recommend doing that because then you are more likely to actually stick with a following and actually be able to stick out with more viewers. That is the goal, at least if you're trying to be a serious streamer. If you're not, then you can always lay back a little bit on that. If you're a variety streamer, always stick to the lower end games that are not as popular in the moment or at the moment during that time in whatever year you're watching from right now. The reason why I say this is because I've tried that myself, and yes, it works. If you stick to one niche, it works, but it does have its cons. And the same thing if you're a variety streamer. A lot of people like to sometimes just stick to one game rather than do multiples. So if anything, this is also another factor that I'm gonna add into the next tip, which is number 4. There is no shortcut. If you're serious about becoming a streamer and actually sticking out to maybe make that a career one day, there is no current shortcut. If you do it and you do it right, there is a chance you could become famous and you could hit it off. But for most of us, other people like myself, it takes time for you to develop that unless you're willing to spend a good amount of time doing so. If you're planning to stick out and doing just streaming for a year or two without anything else, no sort of help from YouTube, from Instagram, from TikTok, from anything, any other social platform, then at least try to build up your community. The best way you could do it is with Discord or some sort of side network that you could use to keep your followers always informed, like Twitter. A lot of streamers that have hit it off use Twitter to just keep them informed because that's like their only way to do so. Or if anything, they get invited to a TeamSpeak call or not. You can look those up. I'm not gonna explain that. For Discord, like I said, they're very useful for that. If you're doing this to get famous, to do it full time, or make a career of it, there is no shortcut. Only if you get lucky, you might get a shortcut, but other than that, there is no shortcut. You have to treat it like as if it was a business, and even so, you have to be aware that the business may not surpass the expectations that you were having to begin with. The reality is it takes a while and a lot of effort for you to actually grow as a streamer. You can look at any of the people that got famous, or any of the even the small time streamers that actually have a lot of viewership. You can see the effort that they're putting and what they're trying to do to increase, or how long have they been doing it for, because a lot of them have been doing it for a long time. There is those uh, one few differing, just special, I wouldn't say special, just lucky cases where you'll see someone that's been doing it for about a year and they hit it off. But then again, you have to consider the prior tips that I just mentioned, because that actually matters a lot into what they do. They put the effort, they put the quality, they put the time, and they always keep up to their schedule. All that matters. If you can't have that, it's gonna take a bit longer, or it's not gonna work at all, at least right now in this year. One huge thing I want to say is, don't quit your job. Do not quit your job and think that because you started streaming the next day and you have the setup and even the stuff that you need, do not think that it's gonna actually work out. Always have a backup plan. If you can, keep your job in the meantime. Don't dip it thinking you're gonna skyrocket overnight and have a couple good thousand followers and an average of 100 viewings a day. I've gotten rated before, and I've gotten at least over 1,000, 2,000 viewers for a couple of good hours, but that didn't mean I hit partner. It doesn't work like that. It's a matter of you having to have it constantly for a while. That's when you can even consider getting partner. I've been affiliated for about almost 3 years now, and I haven't hit it. Now that's all depending on what I've done as well. I've only had been doing it for about 2 years, and I've tried my best. And during that time, I actually learned a lot about the algorithm with Twitch, which changed a lot sporadically, as a matter of fact. So I'll be explaining that in another video, or during another video. But right now, I just want to at least stick to the basics, pretty much. Number 5, overlays. Some sort of overlay, just to at least notify the follower or the viewer, the new viewer that will come to your stream. They will be looking out for that stuff. Don't just overly place too much stuff. Keep it nice and simple, very clean. If you can, just don't over saturate it with too much stuff. Don't do that. It just turns someone off. Anytime I go into a new stream and I see like flashing lights, it looks like some sort of rave, or it's just too much information for me to process, I get turned off. A lot of people feel the same. Usually it's like that. Figure out a way to put yourself in the stream. Make sure you have like a camera view in or something. Make sure they can see you, whether it's like on the side of the screen, like right on the opposite side, above, anywhere. Just make sure that people can see you. If people can't see you, they're less likely to associate with you. People like to see a face. It's trustworthy. They can vibe with it. Number 6, keep your viewers engaged. Anytime you stream, make sure to talk to your viewer, even if it's a couple of viewers, even if it's one viewer. If they're talking to you, make sure you recognize them. Say something nice. Say something like, "Hey, how's it going? Yada yada. What's your favorite hobby? How you been? Or what you've been up to?" If they're returning, always keep engaged if you can. It's a nice little thought for the person that's actually watching you, especially if they're returning to see you. It's really important that you keep in mind that some of these followers that you will get are gonna come back in the future, and they're gonna want to talk to you. Some of them want engagement, some of them don't. Some just like to watch the content that you do. Now, once you start growing that, then that's a little different. You can still poke at it if you can. They'll understand that you can't read every single message, but if possible, try to keep doing that. Now, if it gets out of hand, it's treated more like an event. Don't focus too much on the negatives. Again, keep it simple. If you can, recognize us first, and just talk. If you can, talk as much with the viewers, so that don't leave the stream. You want to keep them with you. It's time for bonus tip. If you really want to hit it off and actually make a following on Twitch, I would still recommend using any sort of third-party platform, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, whatever, you name it. Use something. If anything, I would recommend use YouTube for sure. It's one of the top traffic sources that you could probably get organically or not. If you could grab a bit of content from your highlights from any past streams that you've done, then yeah, I highly recommend that, because it's gonna help you a lot in the long run to actually get someone to follow you from a different source in Twitch. Because guess what, it's really hard for people to actually follow you, even if you have all the stuff that I mentioned prior. That's it for tips. Well guys, we've reached the end of the video, and as always, I want to thank you guys for sticking out through the end. I'd like to thank you guys who made it through all the tips that I've given you so you can start a successful stream in 2021. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe since you made it this far, leave a comment, let me know what else that I missed that I could probably add up on a future video so I could talk about it and explain myself a little better. If you want to ask me some questions on a personal level, you can go ahead and check us out on Discord on the link down below. Join the Con Artists. That's my main Discord. We always talk there and whatnot. You can always check us out on live streams and ask me questions there as well. I stream usually every Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So yeah, just keep an eye out. I will be posting more content like this in the near future. And if you like anything VR related or just tips and tricks for streaming, then I can be your go-to guy. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I don't know what the bonus tip is. I forgot.